Not all bird nests are created equal. Baby birds will soon be chirping in trees and rain gutters. Whether from mud, leaves, or saliva, here are 15 birds that make some of the most astounding structures in nature. These are some of the most unusual bird nests from around the world. 15. Little grebe. The little grebe is a small water bird with a pointed bill. The adult is unmistakable in summer, predominantly dark above with its rich rufous color neck, cheeks and flanks, and bright yellow gape. The rufous is replaced by a dirty brownish-gray in non-breeding and juvenile birds. Juvenile birds have a yellow bill with a small black tip and black and white streaks on the cheeks and sides of the neck as seen below. This yellow bill darkens as the juveniles age, eventually turning black in adulthood. In winter, its size, buff plumage, with a darker back and cap, and powder puff rear end, enable easy identification of this species. The little grebe is an excellent swimmer and diver and pursues its fish and aquatic invertebrate prey underwater. It uses the vegetation skillfully as a hiding place. Like all grebes, it nests at the water's edge since its legs are set very far back and it cannot walk well. Usually 4 to 7 eggs are laid. When the adult bird leaves the nest, it usually takes care to cover the eggs with weeds. This makes it less likely to be detected by predators. The young leave the nest and can swim soon after hatching, and chicks are often carried on the backs of the swimming adults. 14. Weaver bird nest. Placidae is a family of small passerine birds, many of which are called weavers, weaverbirds, weaver finches and bishops. These names come from the nests of intricately woven vegetation created by birds in this family. In most recent classifications, Placidae is a clade, which excludes some birds that have historically been placed in the family, such as some of the sparrows, but which includes the monotypic subfamily Amblyopsizinae. The family is believed to have originated in the mid-Miocene. All birds of the Placidae are native to the Old World, most in Africa south of the Sahara, though a few live in tropical areas of Asia. A few species have been introduced outside their native range. 13. Woodpecker. Woodpeckers are part of the family Picidae, a group of near-passerine birds that also consist of picoulets, wrynecks, and sapsuckers. Members of this family are found worldwide, except for Australia, New Guinea, New Zealand, Madagascar, and the extreme polar regions. Most species live in forests or woodland habitats, although a few species are known that live in treeless areas, such as rocky hillsides and deserts, and the Gila woodpecker specializes in exploiting cacti. All members of the family Picidae nest in cavities, nearly always in the trunks and branches of trees, well away from the foliage. Many species of woodpeckers excavate one hole per breeding season, sometimes after multiple attempts. 12. Purple moorhen. In New Zealand, this species is popularly known as the pkiko. Its nest is a bowl-shaped structure built on a platform woven out of trampled reeds and dead plants. It is lined with softer materials like ferns and grass. Each bird makes several nests, then lays its eggs in the most inconspicuous one. The eggs are sheltered with vegetation to keep away predators. 11. Great hornbill. Hornbills nest in natural tree cavities or abandoned woodpecker holes. Before laying eggs, a female seals herself inside the nest behind a wall of mud and feces. This keeps predators out. The male feeds her and the chicks through a narrow slit in the wall. 10. Sociable weavers. This massive structure may look like a hay bale, but it's actually a hive of nests. Like an apartment complex, it can house up to 400 sociable weavers. The thatched roof protects the birds in the South African or Namibian deserts by keeping the heat out by day and insulating from cold at night. Since the birds use the structure for generations, a nest can get up to 100 years old, that is, if it doesn't break the tree limb first. 9. Edible nest. In caves in Southeast Asia, edible nest swiftlets make cliffside nests out of layers of their own spit. The saliva sticks to the rock and hardens in a bracket shape that the bird uses to lay its eggs. The nests are also a sought-after delicacy for bird's nest soup. They have no flavor and no nutritional content, but this doesn't prevent them from being one of the most expensive foods in the world. People are so crazy for it that many countries regulate the bird nest industry to keep the swiftlet from dying out. 8. Gyrfalcon. The gyrfalcon, pronounced Gyr-Falcon, is a large white falcon that nests in cliffs in the Arctic. They use the same depression or scrape in the rock generation after generation. In 2009, researchers from the University of Oxford did radiocarbon dating on a gyrfalcon nest and found that it was around 2,500 years old. 3 other nests were over 1,000 years old, and fragments of gyrfalcon feathers were 600 years old. The birds have been continually using the nest since the Roman era. 7. Bald eagle nests. In true American style, bald eagles make nests far bigger than their needs would seem to indicate. When they first mate, the eagles make smaller nests, or eyries, 50 to 125 feet above the ground by layering branches and sticks in a triangular pattern. Every year, they add more to the nest until it becomes big enough for a human to sit on. The largest bird nest on record was a bald eagle nest found in St. Petersburg, Florida in 1963. It was 10 feet wide and 20 feet deep. 6. Hummingbird nests. On the other end of the scale, hummingbird nests are so small that it's easy to mistake them for knots in the trees. In fact, the smallest nest in the world is the bee hummingbird's nest, which is just over an inch wide. The hummingbird makes its cup-shaped nest by weaving spiderwebs with feathers and leaves to make it strong and stretchy, then covering the outside with lichen. The bird then lays 2 eggs, each the size of a coffee bean, inside. 5. European bee eater. This species, like other bee eaters, is a richly colored, slender bird. It has brown and yellow upper parts, whilst the wings are green and the beak is black. It can reach a length of 27-29 centimeters, including the 2 elongated central tail feathers. Female tends to have greener rather than gold feathers on shoulders. Non-breeding plumage is much duller and with a blue-green back and no elongated central tail feathers. These bee-eaters are gregarious, nesting colonially in sandy banks, preferably near river shores, usually at the beginning of May. They make a relatively long tunnel, in which they lay 5 to 8 spherical white eggs around the beginning of June. Both male and female care for the eggs, which they brood for about 3 weeks. They also feed and roost communally. 4. Horned coot. Horned coot males average a little larger than the female. With a total length of 46-62 centimeters and a reported body mass from 1.6 to 2.29 kilograms, it averages slightly smaller than the related giant coot, as the second largest coot and the third largest extant species of rail. The horned coot is monogamous and sometimes breeds in colonies of up to 80 pairs. The huge nest is typically located about 40 meters from the shore in the waters of the high-altitude lakes where it breeds. Pebbles are piled by the birds to form an artificial island that reaches the water surface. This island is then covered with algae to form the nest. It has been estimated that the pebble mounds may weigh as much as 1.5 tons, and they are refurbished in each season. They breed from November to January. 3. Common tailorbird. The common tailorbird is a songbird found across tropical Asia. Popular for its nest made of leaves sewn together and immortalized by Rudyard Kipling as Darzee in his Jungle Book, it is a common resident in urban gardens. Although shy birds that are usually hidden within vegetation, their loud calls are familiar and give away their presence. This passerine bird is typically found in open farmland, scrub, forest edges and gardens. Tailorbirds get their name from the way their nest is constructed. The edges of a large leaf are pierced and sewn together with plant fiber or spider silk to make a cradle in which the actual nest is built. 2. African jacana. African jacanas are conspicuous and unmistakable birds. They are about 30 centimeters long, but females are larger than males. They have chestnut upperparts with black wingtips, rear neck, and eye stripe. The underparts are also chestnut in the adults, only in juveniles they are white with a chestnut belly patch. The blue bill extends up as a coot-like head shield, and the legs and long toes are gray. African jacanas breed throughout sub-Saharan Africa. It is sedentary apart from seasonal dispersion. It lays 4 black-marked brown eggs in a floating nest. The jacana has evolved a highly unusually polyandrous mating system, meaning that one female mates with multiple males and the male alone cares for the chicks. Such a system has evolved due to a combination of 2 factors. Firstly, the lakes that the jacana lives on are so resource-rich that the relative energy expended by the female in producing each egg is effectively negligible. Secondly, the jacana, as a bird, lays eggs and eggs can be equally well incubated and cared for by a parent bird of either gender. This means that the rate-limiting factor of the jacana's breeding is the rate at which the males can raise and care for the chicks. The parent that forms part of the harem is almost always the one that ends up caring for the offspring. In this case, each male jacana incubates and rears a nest of chicks. The male African jacana has therefore evolved some remarkable adaptations for parental care, such as the ability to pick up and carry chicks underneath its wings. 1. Hamerkup. The hamerkup is a medium-sized waterbird, standing 56 centimeters high and weighing 470 grams, although the subspecies S.U. minor is smaller. Its plumage is a drab brown with purple iridescence on the back, Su minor is darker. The tail is faintly barred with darker brown. The sexes are alike and fledglings resembled adults. The bill is long, 80 to 85 millimeters, and slightly hooked at the end. It resembles the bill of a shoebill and is quite compressed and thin, particularly at the lower half of the mandible. The bill is brown in young birds but becomes black by the time a bird fledges. The strangest aspect of hammercup behavior is the huge nest, sometimes more than 1.5 meters across, and strong enough to support a man's weight. When possible, it is built in the fork of a tree, often over water, but if necessary, it is built on a bank, a cliff, a human-built wall or dam, or on the ground. A pair starts by making a platform of sticks held together with mud, then builds walls and a domed roof. A mud-plastered entrance 13 to 18 centimeters wide in the bottom leads through a tunnel up to 60 centimeters long to a nesting chamber big enough for the parents and young. Nests have been recorded to take between 10 and 14 weeks to build, and one researcher estimated that they would require around 8,000 sticks or bunches of grass to complete. Nesting material may still be added by the pair after the nest has been completed and eggs have been laid. Much of the nesting material added after completion is not sticks, but an odd collection of random items including bones, hide, and human waste.